Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Natalie Michelle, for those of you who don't know me, and this is Styles by Natalie Michelle. Today's makeup video is Makeup 101. So I get a lot of questions, mainly from my friends, asking me, Nat, how do I do my makeup? How do I do this? I'm like, you guys, I have a whole YouTube. Like, what do you mean? No, it's a lot harder than a lot of us may think. If you're the type of person that's like, wait, but how do I know what kind of foundation to get? Or how do I know which brushes to use? Like which ones are good, which ones aren't? I use like 2 brushes to do my entire face. If you're that kind of person and you just find makeup to be super overwhelming despite all the videos that you watch here on YouTube, despite all the makeup artists that you follow on Instagram, that's why I'm here for you guys today to teach you the basics on makeup, what brushes you need to have in your kit, and I've narrowed that down to 10 brushes. So I'm going to give you guys 10 steps to achieving professional looking makeup, and I'm going to give you 10 brushes that you guys need. These are the 10 essential brushes that you guys are going to need to have in your makeup kit if you want to achieve professional looking makeup. And this video is just going to take you through the 10 steps of makeup. I will show you different types of products that you can use, say, for example, eyebrows, primers, foundations. We're gonna go through those steps together, and then we're gonna complete this look at the end. So if you guys are interested in that, if you're beginners in makeup, or even if you're advanced in makeup and you just wanna go back to the basics and see how I do this, please continue to watch. Before we do, please subscribe. Please like this video if you like it. Hit the notification button so you get notified on all my future videos. And without further ado, let's get started. So the very first thing that we need to do in order to achieve a beautiful makeup look is to make sure we have good brushes. Okay, so step 1 is good brushes. Okay, every brush has a purpose. Some brushes you can use for multiple things, but for the most part, every brush has its individual purpose. Okay, we need to get you a brush for every step in our makeup routine. So brush 1. Brush 1 is going to be your foundation brushes, okay? So I have a big foundation brush, and I also have more of a flat foundation brush, and I also have a beauty blender. This one is pretty quick, plus it gives me more foundation full coverage, and then this one, it just applies a foundation a little bit lighter. However, I can still build up with a beauty blender as well. And sometimes I'll do the brush and then I'll just dab in with a beauty blender in the end, just to kind of smooth everything out. So I usually typically use all 3 of these, but it's up to you which one you prefer. Okay, so that is brush 1. Brush 2 is a concealer brush. So everybody needs a concealer brush. There's lots of different kinds of concealer brushes. They're usually flat, and they usually have sort of a synthetic feel to them. And they help to really smooth out concealer under the eye area, get it on dots and blemishes. And I also use the smaller one to do carving around my brow or carving within my crease and my eyelid. Okay, so 100% second brushes you need, concealer brushes. All right, brush 3. So everybody needs a powder brush, okay? I'm showing you 2 different options of powder brushes. This one's a little bit denser and this one's a little bit fluffier, and it's also a bit tapered. So when you've done your foundation, you've done your concealer, afterwards you apply powder, and I'm gonna be taking you through step by step how I use each one of these brushes in just a minute. You can, like I say, have ones that are a little bit denser. It just means it's gonna apply more product. And this one's gonna apply it lighter and less. Number 4 is a bronzer brush. So I have 2 different types of bronzer brushes. There's more actually, but to keep things simple, I'm gonna show you these 2 types of bronzer brushes. This one I like to use to disperse product on my forehead. And this one I like to use to really get in my cheekbones, as well as contour a little bit around my nose. Okay. Brush number 5, blush brush. Okay. Blush brushes are obviously to apply blush. Usually blush brushes are smaller, denser, and they're angled so that you can really get on the cheek. All right, number 6. Number 6 is a highlighting brush. So when you're applying highlighter on the tops of your cheekbones here, up on your forehead and down your nose, you're going to need a highlighting brush. So if I'm looking in my brush kit here, I see a fan one. So we could use a fan brush. We can use more of a pointed taper skinny brush. And then I also have more of a fluffy tapered skinny brush as well. Number 7, we've got a fluffy blending brush. So my favorite fluffy blending brush that you guys will see on the majority of my videos is this one. And I got it in a Sephora brush kit. My Sephora brush kit looked like this. You'll find them all over Sephora and on Sephora.com. But you get a bunch of different eyeshadow brushes in these kits, and I highly recommend them because they're really, really great brushes. And this one, which is the M518 and the M504. So both of these are all fluffy blending brushes. Okay, so number 8 for your brushes is a denser blending brush. So number 7 I showed you was a fluffy blending brush, and that's really to work makeup into the crease and for the transition. And then a denser blending brush will look something like this. Again, this is the 217, so this is a little bit denser. This one is from my Sephora kit as well that I just showed you, and it is shorter bristles, denser, and also has tapered bristles. And then this one is from Morphe, and it is the M507. And I always highly recommend this brush because if you're really trying to get eyeshadow in the crease or build it up along the lash line or on the outer lid and outer crease, this one's a really, really great brush to do that. And it's very, very tiny, as you can see in comparison to the other ones, but these are denser blending brushes. All right, number 9 is an angled brush. So angled brushes are great for multiple things. Angled brushes I use on my brows. This one specifically that has the spoolie on the end from Anastacia Beverly Hills. And I also use angled brushes to apply eyeliner on my eyes. And I also use angled brushes to sometimes cut out my crease or to blend eyeshadow or eyeliner underneath my lash line. So there's a bunch of different uses for an angled brush, and I highly recommend having one in your kit. Number 10, in your kit, you need packing brushes. I call them packer brush. Some people obviously will call them eyeshadow brushes or eyelid brushes, but these are your packing brushes. This is where you pack the eyeshadow on the lid. These are short bristled, dense, usually rounded and flat. So you can see they're all flat. And these brushes here are great brushes to pack the eyeshadow on the eyelids. Okay, so I have the M210 from Morphe, the Jaclyn Hill Morphe JH41, and the MAC Cosmetics 239. Okay, so I know I did say 10 brushes, but I'm gonna add one more, and that's really just a bonus. If you guys want, you don't have to do this. You can use your packer brushes for this, but I also highly recommend tiny pencil brushes. So either one that really looks pointed or one that's short, really short, dense, and flat. And these are to work eyeshadow in the corner or blend underneath your eyes. This one I mostly use for the corner as well as up by the brow when I'm putting like a highlight up here. I kept it to 10 and I'm just adding this as a bonus. So those are your main 10 brushes that you need in your kit in order to be successful. The brushes I just showed you, I'm going to be using in a look today, and then you guys can see how I use them and why they're so important. So the whole step one in the makeup process is good brushes. Now we're moving on to step two. Step two is going to be selecting a primer. So in order to select a primer, you guys have to decipher whether your skin is more on the dry side, more on the oily side. Is it combination where you're more oily in the center, dry on the side? Or are you just normal? Some people just have normal skin. I'm probably more normal to dry. So when I'm selecting a primer, I want to make sure I have a bit of moisture, hydration, and I want to make sure I have a bit of radiance. I don't want to be totally matte, although I do have matte primers. And sometimes I do want to be matte if I know that I'm going to be going out, if I might be sweating, if I just know I have a long day ahead of me and I want my makeup to last all day. I might go with more of a matte primer. But primers are really, really important because it is the base that your makeup is going to lay on top of, okay? So as I mentioned in my summer skin makeup tutorial, if you guys haven't seen that, I'd highly recommend go checking that out because I go through my organic skincare regimen. So you'll be able to see all of the products that I put on my face first before I even start the primer. And that's really, really important to have successful makeup in the end. The primers that I'm going to show you here, this one you guys have obviously seen me use many times before, but it's the Laura Mercier Pure Canvas Primer, and it is the Blurring. I also have one that I don't believe I've used in my videos just because it's super old and I'm almost running out. It's also super dirty from my makeup bag, but it is the Glow Maximizer Light Boosting Primer from Dior. And then I also have the Smashbox Photo Finish Foundation Primer in light, and this is oil-free and tends to be a little bit more matte. I'm just gonna take a little bit. I'm just gonna use my fingers. Number 3, selecting a foundation. Now, this step is probably one of the most overwhelming steps when you're starting out in makeup. So there's just so many brands. So when you're selecting a foundation, number one thing that you need to figure out is your skin tone. Are you cool? Are you warm, or are you neutral? Do you tan really well? You're probably more warm. Do you burn? You're probably more cool. As far as jewelry goes, do you wear more silver? Does that look better on your skin tone? Or do you wear more gold? For me, I love both silver and gold. I can wear both. That just means that I'm neutral skin toned. I can look decent in both colors. Okay? So once you've deciphered whether or not you're cool or warm or neutral, then you just have to decide on your color. And that can also just be a trial and error thing. You know, are you more light skin toned? Are you medium skin toned? Or are you darker skin toned? Once you've deciphered if you're more cool, warm, or neutral, then you need to decipher back again. Resort back to when you bought your primer. Are you oily? Are you combination? Are you dry? So when I'm choosing foundation personally, because I'm more dry, I choose Radiant or satin or natural finishes. So I have the Fenty Beauty Pro Filter. You guys have seen me use this. This is hydrating and it's radiant. I have the It Cosmetics Foundation. Again, illuminating, hydrating, illuminating, radiant. Anastacia Beverly Hills Luminous Foundation, radiant, has a very natural satin finish. This one is empty, but I still have it because I want to remind myself to get it again. Touche Eclat Latant, very radiant. Very radiant. Face and Body, love Face and Body. Very radiant, natural, sheer foundation. And then I also have the Maybelline Age Rewind Radiant Firming Makeup. Okay, so I think I'm going to use this one actually today. Now we get into using our brushes. Or we could use a beauty blender. I think I'll use both. I'll grab my foundation brush. So this one is the JH03. This is the Jaclyn Hill and Morphe collaboration. I'll just kind of go over my foundation, just make sure it's nice and pushed into my skin. Number 4, after foundation, we want to put on concealer. So for concealer, I usually buy concealers that are radiant or matte. This one actually is a matte concealer from NARS. And I like to put this matte concealer on my eyelids when I'm cutting my crease. I like to shape my eyebrows with this matte concealer, and sometimes I like to put it underneath my eyes just because I find it lasts a lot longer. But I also love more of my radiant concealers as well. I've got the Tarte Creaseless Concealer, and I've got the Makeup Forever HD Light Capturing Self-Setting Concealer. And then I also have the Smashbox Studio Skin Flawless, and obviously you can see this is much darker than my skin tone, but I use this for contouring when I want to do more of a liquid contour. That's more advanced. I do have a contouring video on my channel. If you guys want to check that out, I can link it, and I can show you how to do that. But when you are doing that, you do it with concealer. And you just put this on the high points of your face. I like to use a damp sponge for this mostly. Number 5. I think we're on number 5. Number 3 was foundation. Number 4 was concealer. Number 5 is powder. So I have a couple different powders that I use. I've got the Sephora. This is Matte Perfection powder, and then this one is my Light Plus in Next to Nothing. Again, we're going to go back to our brushes, so our powder brushes. I'm going to use a little bit of a denser one today, and I'm going to use my Sephora powder. And I'm just going to brush this lightly all over my skin, and this just sets my foundation. Now there's also powders that are loose powders that are like baking setting powders. And of course, you've probably seen people baking their under eyes. And baking, we do in order to set our foundation in places that we really, really don't want our makeup to move. And also we use this in highlighting. So I usually grab a little sponge. This is my e.l.f. sponge that you guys may have seen before. And I really love using this sponge to bake underneath my eyes. Okay, on top of powders, we need a bronzer. So there's a couple different kinds that I personally like. I have the Glam Bronze from Morphe, and I have the Huda from Benefit. I'm going to use the Huda today, and we're going to go back into our bronzing brushes. I'm going to take the JH05, and I'm going to use this to bronze up my cheekbones. And I'm going to use the JH02 to do up on my forehead. Remember I said I like to use a bigger, fluffy brush for up on my forehead because it disperses the product much nicer. Also for powders, so we've got our setting powder, our baking powder, our bronzer powder, and we need our blushes. So different types of blush. I've got MAC, I've got Annabelle, I've got NARS, I've got a Benefit palette that has a bunch of different blushes in it. So palettes are really great because they give you options. I think I'm gonna go with Coralista. And my blush brush, M405. I'm just gonna take my powder brush, the one that is pointed, to wipe away the baking. Last powder is our highlight powder. So I have many, many, many different highlighting powders. I've got Becca is a great brand of highlighter. I have a less expensive, more affordable highlighter. This is the High Glass from NYX. I have usually everybody's first highlighting powder, and this is Soft and Gentle from MAC. This is a classic, and for the most part, anyone you talk to, it was most people's first highlighting powder. And I also have Too Faced, and this one is Blinded by the Light. I'm going to use this pointed brush that I have, Jaclyn Hill and Morphe JH09. And just place that on the high points of my face and down the middle of my nose. Number 6, just like we prime our face, we also have to prime our eyeshadow, our eyelids, okay? So before applying eyeshadow, you need to have a strong base underneath that eyeshadow in order for the pigment to stick onto, in order for you to not get any creasing in your eyelids. If you ever applied eyeshadow and by the middle of the day you already have creasing, it's because you didn't have a primer or you didn't apply a good primer. So I highly recommend either MAC Cosmetics. I like the Painterly Paint Pot, and you guys have seen me use this tons before. Or I also have the Anastasia eye primer, Anastacia Beverly Hills, and she has eye primers as well. And there's honestly so many different eye primers out there. So I just put a little bit of this one on the back of my hand. And again, you could use a brush for this. You could use your concealer brush if you would like to apply this on with your concealer brush, or you can just do it with your fingers. All right, so now after we have primed our eyelids, we're gonna go in with our fluffy brushes. Remember I spoke of our fluffy blending brushes. So choose which blending brush. Of course, this guy is my favorite, so we're gonna be using him. So you can go back into your powder with this fluffy blending brush, and you can swipe this all over your eyelids to set your primer, or you can just go into like an eyeshadow that's similar to your skin tone or a little bit lighter than your skin tone. I'm just going into this Huda Beauty palette. Use one that's similar to your base color and just lightly disperse that all over your eyelids. So I suppose this is step 7 then for eyebrows. There's many different types of things you can do for your eyebrows, and it's really just going to be based on preference. Eyebrows are just one of those really personal things for people, and based on what you prefer, you're gonna have to try in order to find out what you like. But I will tell you that there's different types of things that you can do for eyebrows. So Anastasia, there's many different brands that have pomades. So it comes in a jar like this, and you use an angled brush. We spoke about angled brushes before, to apply this onto your eyebrows. Now, of course, there's also pencils. A pencil that you have to sharpen, or this Benefit Precisely My Brow that you click up. If I'm going out or I want like a really high-end makeup look, I'll usually do my pomade, and then I'll use a clear brow gel just to run this through my eyebrows at the end and keep everything in place. But if I want just going to work or going to the grocery store, I'm using my NYX. I believe these are like $7 at your drugstore. And I am just gonna quickly fill these bad boys in. So I'm gonna do that. And then I'll probably use my taupe colored clear brow gel and run that through at the very end. Step number 8, that's gonna be your eyeshadow. So choosing an eyeshadow palette that's gonna work for you. Now you guys might already have a bunch of eyeshadow palettes, and that's great. But I will just speak on eyeshadow palettes and what I look for when I am selecting an eyeshadow palette, especially if you're new to makeup. So when I'm selecting an eyeshadow palette, I want a nice array of colors that I'm going to be able to use on a daily basis. I want to look for nice matte transition colors, and transition colors are the color that you're going to be using in your crease to have that nice transition in your eyelids in order for makeup to blend nicely. Okay, so what I mean by that is when you take your fluffy brush, your super, super fluffy blending brush, and you dip into a nice color. So for instance, I'm going to use this Huda palette. I'll show you the Jaclyn Hill palette too. A lot of people have the Jaclyn Hill, the original Jaclyn Hill palette. So as you can see, both these palettes have a nice array of transition colors. So usually these matte colors here, they're soft browns. They might have a little bit of ochre or pink or peach colors in them, but these colors here are all really nice transition colors. So I'm going to go with this transition color here called Eden. And transition, you take your fluffy brush and you're going to work this into your crease. You're just drawing little circles and making little circular motions, holding my brush down at the back, because if I hold it up here, it's just going to be way too hard. Other things that you want to look for in your palette when you're buying a palette or selecting a palette is the shimmer or the metallic shades within your palette. Do you like them? Will they look good on your skin tone? Will they show up? Are they too loud for you? Are they too bright? Or are they exactly what you think you could wear every day? So for me, I really like this palette because I would wear these colors every day. These ones down here, I would wear, like I could wear these maybe underneath the lash line, or if I just wanted to do a fun look, like even these purples, like I would wear pretty much any of these shimmery, even the purples, these like orangier colors, these redder colors, like all of these. This palette I would wear every single day. I think today, so we're gonna grab our packer brush. Remember we spoke about our packer brush? I'm gonna grab this is one, the M210. Go into Sissy. And just pack that lightly on my eyelid. And then the last thing I look at when I'm selecting an eyeshadow palette is, does it have nice dark matte shades that are going to be really good for using on the outer crease, the outer lid, and underneath the lash line. Also, you can use darker colors for eyeliner. So obviously a black or a really dark brown shade. Sometimes I even look for eyeshadow palettes that have eyeshadow that I can use for brows, which in this one, I'm looking for more of a taupe shade. Maybe this one might be able to work for my eyebrows. But I meant to mention back when we were doing eyebrows that you can also use eyeshadow or powders for your eyebrows as well, which you would use with your angled brush. So, you know, if I can get the most use out of an eyeshadow palette as much as possible, I am going to be looking for shades like that. So I'm going to go back into the Huda one. I'm going to grab this color here, and I'm going to grab my denser blending brush. So we spoke of that before. I'm going to use this one from my Sephora brush set, and I'm going to dip into this one called Ode, O-U-D. I think I'm saying that right. And I am just going to deepen this outer crease and this outer lid. And I'm just drawing little V motions here. Okay, step number 9 is eyeliner. So for eyeliner, there's many different types of eyeliners that you can use. I'm going to show you a few here. So I often use this eyeliner, which I believe is discontinued. I get it at Walmart. It's called Walk the Line. It's by Hardcandy. And I like this one because it has a super fine tip on the end and it really allows me to get a nice point when I'm doing a winged liner. I did just pick up this NYX matte liquid liner from the drugstore, and it looks to have a nice point on it as well. I haven't opened the box yet. And then there's also like the felt tip pen. I have a white one here. They are the easiest probably, more so than these to control when you're just starting out with makeup. So I probably recommend using more of a felt tipped kind of eyeliner pen instead of these guys, unless you get really, really comfortable doing your winged eyeliner. Then you can probably move on to these. And also gel. So I have a gel liner here from Morphe. You know, MAC has one, Sigma has one, lots of different brands have a gel liner. But if you do use a gel liner, which is super, super easy to use, plus you can smudge this out, you will need a brush. I already gave you a list of 11 brushes. You could use an angled brush, which was on your list, or you can use this guy who's totally been through it, as you can see. And I use this in my gel liner to work along the eyelash line, and I can wing it out or I can just leave it along the lash line. Also for eyeliner, you will need a pencil, which I'm going to pop in my waterline right now. This one is a brown pencil. You can use brown, you can use black, you could use fun colors. I have them all, but for an everyday look, I just usually use brown. And then I'm going to grab my Walk the Line eyeliner, but I usually just stamp the liner onto my lid. And then I'll come over here and do my wing, draw a triangle, like so, and then I just color it in. Okay, so once you've completed your eyeliner step, your 10th step is setting spray. Setting spray is super, super important. You can set with a radiant spray, which is what I like to do. I also have one from Gerard Cosmetics. This one smells amazing. I've spoken about it in a couple other videos that I have. This one is a matte setting spray, and I like to spray this throughout the course of my makeup. And this one, I'm not really sure if it's meant to be matte or radiant, but it's just a really good setting spray, and it's the Hangover 3-in-1. And I also like the NYX Dewy and Radiant sprays as well. So as you can see, I'm just loading on the sprays, and that's how I do my sprays. Those are your 10 main steps. Obviously, the rest of makeup now becomes whether or not you want to put on lashes, or if you just want to put on mascara. I'm pretty sure mascara is pretty straightforward in almost everybody who's never done makeup before. You're probably only wearing a mascara, if that at all. But mascaras, there's tons of different brands. I feel like mascaras are one of those things where you just don't need to spend a lot of money on it. I've been using L'Oreal's Voluminous Original for as long as I can remember. And if you want to also put on lashes, then you can put on lashes. And obviously there's a million different kinds of lashes in the world, which I have Violet Voss, I have the House of Lashes times Sephora, I have Sephora's own brand of the Vivacious lashes, and then you get into your drugstore lashes, which I often buy because I wear lashes almost every day. Today I'm just going to use the Kiss lashes, and I'm using the Duo Glue, and I just put a little bit of glue on the back of my tweezers. and make sure the glue gets nice and tacky. And then I just pop them in the center of my lash line and stick down the corners. I'm using the Creme de Nude MAC lipstick. And then I'm going to be using the MAC Oyster Grill lip gloss. Just to give a bit more shine. I'm going to spray my face again because why not? And we're done. All right, you guys, so that is the look. That is it for your Makeup 101 session. I hope you guys liked this video and I hope it was easy to follow along. I hope those 10 steps of makeup will help you to achieving professional makeup. And I hope my 10 brushes that are super essential for your makeup kits also helps you in deciding what brushes that you need in order to do professional makeup. If you guys have any questions at all about anything I showed you today, if you have any questions still on product, maybe it's a product I've used before and you're just not sure if you should invest in it, but definitely leave any questions you have down below and I'll try my best to answer it. Also check me out on Instagram at Styles by Natalie Michelle. I have a lot of makeup inspo there as well as I do IGTV, so you can get ready with me and follow along on the products that I'm using and how I use them. And yeah, if you guys like this video, make sure to leave me a thumbs up, make sure to subscribe, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!